All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And hello, everyone. Welcome back from your holiday weekend. A weekend remembering our fallen heroes and a weekend honoring our current heroes. We are on the air, baby. You know it. This is the live show. If you want to participate, you can. If you'd like to participate, you can.
I just noticed.
Just log on and participate. What's happening today? Kim is with us.
Kim, how are you?
And I just noticed you have your credibility glasses back on your face.
No, Kim, I would expect that mistake from you since you barely pay attention to the show, but I do not have the credibility glasses on my face. These are glasses that are not my credibility glasses. They are old glasses. The prescription is not really current at all.
Well,
my glasses were found, however.
What?
Yes, they were found at the car dealership.
Oh, okay.
And they are being retrieved. Now, I bring you into a little bit of a domestic conversation, that is to say, one that was held, this conversation, under the roof of this home. And Courtney is not excited about going down to retrieve the glass. Is that right, honey? You don't want to go. You don't. Hang on a second. Be careful because I've got that mic is careful because you can. Okay. But the glasses, for those who might have missed it, and you certainly wouldn't be. There'd be nothing wrong if you were to miss it. But we went and we bought a car over the weekend.
We did.
We bought a little beater car. Okay, yeah. And it's an electric car, a Nissan Leaf. And we paid just a few $1,000s for it. It was a good thing, right? Just a little knock-around car.
Yeah, you paid $2,000 for a Nissan Leaf?
No, we paid. First of all, it's how dare you ask how much we paid?
Kim, how are you?
Is that not what you just said?
I know. I kept it generic, and then you try to nail it down because you're such a journalist.
I blame you.
Anyway,
I stand corrected.
All right. The point is that it was not a lot of money.
Okay.
Which, there it is. Actually, that looks
cute.
a lot like our car, except ours is a darker blue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
a royal blue.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was distracted because I was trying to help Courtney through this entire process, and I left my glasses in the car. And it's for that reason that Courtney should go down and retrieve them.
Should spend 3 hours out of my day to go pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look.
Well, he paid $8,000 for the glasses, so you have to kind of go get them.
It is.
I don't know what's worse. Hearing about how much the glasses cost or hearing about how much I owe him to go down there.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell
really
they do
a
it
photo
for.
They
finish
do make fun
on
of
that.
me all the time. But what I would say, Courtney, is, and this, I would just note this for everyone who feels,
course.
isn't it so sweet or
So nice.
I would just note this. We were looking for the glasses, and prior to finding them, it was we checked off on the fact that they very likely might be in this place where we found the car and purchased the car. And Courtney, very generously said, "I'll go down and get them because I can go down and get them." So she is ready to go. She announcing that she's going to go. She might have announced that she's leaving like 5 times, and then the last time she announced it, right before we went on the air here, she said, "I'm going down there." I said, "Thank you again so much for going." She said, "Because it would be too risky to ship them or for them to be sent."
I thought I would introduce option B because option A.
It was the greatest stealth move.
When I was offering option A, I thought there was a very small likelihood that you had left the glasses down there. But in fact, you did. And now option A is the only option. But it was so much better when there was a very small chance that I would have to do this.
Courtney does a lot of this. She'll ask, really, this is like one of her moves. She'll ask, "Can I do such and such for you?" Or "Can I go get such and such for the house?" Or "Can I shop for such and such since we need such and such?" And she doesn't really intend to do it. And that's why I say, And now, so in this case, it was kind of in that gray area. I expected her that she really would go, but now I'm not so sure she's going to.
Well, I'll do it.
she
It's
will.
just, it's not intend, it's desire.
Yeah, it's not the outcome she was hoping for. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's desire versus intend. But
see.
Mark, I would do a lot of things for you. And
Mm-hmm.
one of those things is driving 3 hours to get your glasses.
Well, teacher Lori, who doesn't have anything nice to say to me ever, she said, I was wondering why you didn't have them shipped.
Thank you, teacher Lori.
Yeah,
could
teacher
have them-
Lori's not, you
You could have them
mean,
Ubered.
yeah. Oh, there we go.
yeah. Well,
Now your
Courtney-
glasses are going to cost $4,000.
Courtney, if you can find a different thing, I'm going to go into a conversation with a Pulitzer Prize winning
Okay, I'm going to leave.
author and best. No,
gonna
I'm just saying, and I'm doing it without my glasses today. So I would like it if you could
God.
grab the glasses because
I
I'm not at full
Your
strength.
back must
is what
be
I'm saying.
hard. Must be hurting from carrying all of this.
I'm not at full
This
strength.
weight of no glasses.
God, I can still
for
hear you, and I
2
thought you were
days.
actually on your way to go get the glasses, but I can still Courtney, everybody.
Jesus.
Courtney,
All right, well,
all right.
thank you. Hi, Kim.
All right, bye-bye, Courtney.
Have a
All
nice
right.
ride.
The Mark Thompson
No
Show.
need to pad our part, all right? Let's go down there and get it done.
I think
Wow.
David Cay Johnston brings enough credibility for all of us, so it's
That
okay.
is certainly true.
Yeah,
That is certainly true. I want to acknowledge, as long as I'm acknowledging things, a big shout out to Deb Allen. Just editing her Patreon membership from $5 to $10 a month.
Well
Big
done.
shout out.
Big shout out.
Nice.
Yeah, that's double her original support. I'm super impressed and grateful. Thank you, Deb Allen. I have others as well. We'll get to them later in the show, but I wanted to give Deb a shout out. You can reach us on Patreon. Under all of our videos, there's a click through to Patreon and PayPal if you want to support this show. We do a lot of stuff. We talk to a lot of very smart people on this show. We try to give you some insights and different perspectives and even some subject matter that you may not get elsewhere, or some takes on things that you may not get elsewhere. So support the show. You can visit our main website, themarkthompsonshow.com, and there are their Patreon and PayPal links, but there are Patreon and PayPal links under all the videos. And we'd love for you to be part of our community of support. So thank you. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah. So, wow. I have quite the show. Did you reach Jefferson Graham? Because he's going to be on in the second hour today.
I'm going to check out for a minute and call him and make sure he got my message.
All right. And then what I do have a program note for all of you, and I will put my glasses on for this. All these glasses are not, as I say, functioning at the highest level, but high enough a level for me to note that David Cay Johnston, who normally kicks off the second hour on Tuesdays, he will be with us in just minutes at the bottom of this hour, okay, just because of scheduling in David's life. So, again, the Pulitzer Prize winner, best-selling author, brilliant Trumpologist will join us at the bottom of this hour instead of his normal time. For most of you, it's not going to matter because most people really watch in delay, but if you are tuning in to see him in real time, that's the situation on that. I have no other program notes, so I do want to mention yesterday,
The Mark Thompson Show.
President Biden honored the fallen heroes of this country, the men and women who have lost their lives in our armed forces or defending this nation. And, among those who the memories that he honored, his son, Bo. He talks about the hurt of losing Bo still being real. He spoke first, of course, of all of the many who sacrifice, hundreds of thousands of women and men who've given their lives to this nation, he said. Each one literally a link in the chain of honor stretching back to our founding days, each one bound by common commitment, not to a place, not to a person, not to a president, but to an idea unlike any idea in human history, the idea of the United States of America. That was Biden, and then he did mention his son. the death of his son, Beau Biden, died in 2015 from brain cancer, believed to be caused by exposure to toxic chemicals in Iraq. A lot of military soldiers and I was going to say officers, but I mean enlisted people, the military as a whole essentially is exposed to any number of things that are in play at military bases, both domestically and internationally. It's not one of those things that only happens overseas in some theater of conflict. And you know about what happened at Camp Lejeune with the water there and those ads for attorneys who are taking up those cases are everywhere across social media. But beyond just that, you have the burn pits in Iraq, and that has been given some media play and also on this show. So anyway, back to Beau Biden. It's believed that he contracted, or certainly contracted his brain cancer as a result of this exposure, but certainly it was without question that these carcinogens are inundating essentially a lot of military people and continue to in and around bases worldwide. That was the Memorial Day message from the former president, from Joe Biden. The former president, Donald Trump, commemorates Memorial Day with a rant in which he called out Judge Engoron, who is the judge presiding over the Trump fraud trial, and Judge Marchand, who is presiding over the hush money trial. He also alluded to Judge Lewis Kaplan, who oversaw the civil trial. That was with E. Jean Carroll, right? And some of that E. Jean Carroll stuff, actually, in his accusations and his rants, probably exposes him, I can ask David Cay Johnston, to additional legal action, because he has essentially once again defamed her in talking about that entire thing being concocted. But in any case, this is Donald Trump. First big chunk of this thing was him talking about two, in capital letters, separate trials that awarded a woman who I never met before, in parentheses, a quick handshake at a celebrity event 25 years ago doesn't count, $91 million for defamation. She didn't know what the so-called event took place, when the so-called event took place, sometime in the 1990s. Never filed a police report, etc. He goes on and on with capital letters, and, then he continues. I mean, he's essentially just ranting about these trials. But this was the Memorial Day rant. I mean, it started with Happy Memorial Day to all. Then it goes, there it is, thank you. Happy Memorial Day to all, including the human scum that is working so hard to destroy our once great country, and to the radical left, Trump-hating federal judge in New York that presided over, get this, 2 separate trials. And then, as I say, the rest of it I've already read to you. But I got to hand it to the guy. He knows how to pivot to hate, man, like nobody else. Happy Memorial Day. It's the somber day in which you're remembering fallen heroes. And Trump takes it to a pretty dark place. I'll get to more of the legal stuff because there's just been some breaking news with the Trump. Well, actually, you have it, don't you, Tony? The Trump denying the, in the document case, the judge there, Eileen Cannon, I mean, the fix is in, judge, right? The limited gag order that Jack Smith had asked for, that was turned down. You have it there, Tony? It was I think I told you to go take it about 2 minutes in or something. Did you? Anyway. So the judge in that case made that decision on procedural grounds and left open the possibility that federal prosecutors could try again to restrict Donald Trump from making statements that could endanger FBI agents. Remember, this is all in service of that argument that Donald Trump was potentially the target of an FBI assassination attempt. It was utterly absurd. Go ahead, run it.
For a sec. So I know that there is concern among people in the special counsel's office and the Justice Department that Donald Trump and his allies suggesting inaccurately that his life was at risk during this raid. I don't even think he was on the grounds of Mar-a-Lago, but there had been some sort of standard cut and paste procedure for what kind of deadly force the FBI is allowed to use. But because of that, they are turning this into, Trump and his allies, into, look, Joe Biden was trying to kill me, which is not true. Is that why he sought this special gag order?
Yes, that's exactly why. So this all springs from Donald Trump's preposterous, false, ridiculous BS claim that there was some effort to assassinate him. There's a document, a standard piece of a search warrant that says, hey, federal law enforcement agents, when you're executing this search warrant, there are very, very limited circumstances where you can use lethal force. It's the correct statement of law. It's in every search warrant. And Donald Trump wasn't even there that day. So DOJ now.
Can I just to quickly interject? I thought I saw a Washington Post story that said it was the same exact rules and procedures when they searched President Biden's house.
It was. That's correct, because it's a standard.
Who also was not there at the time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Jack Smith now went to Judge Cannon in the classified documents case in Florida and said, we'd like a gag order to stop Donald Trump from saying these kind of crazy, incorrect, potentially inflammatory things. And what Judge Cannon has just said is, you haven't done this correctly, procedurally, Jack Smith, because there's a requirement known as meet and confer, meaning you just have to do the prosecutor, you have to call up the defense lawyer and try to work it out amongst yourselves, some meaningful exchange of ideas. And Judge Cannon said, well, you didn't do that, so go back and give them a call. It's quite clear where Donald Trump's team is at, right? They're not going to agree to anything. So technically, Jack Smith's team just needs to make a couple calls to Donald Trump's team, say, do you agree to any gag order? Trump's team will say no, and then Jack Smith can go back to Judge Cannon and say, now we need the gag order.
All right.
Okay, so that's the procedural thing, but that speaks to the concocted notion that Donald Trump in some way was potentially the target of an assassination attempt by the FBI. As I say, it's a boilerplate advisory and memo that goes out as to how to serve these things and how to execute these things. And they had the same one where they went to hit Joe Biden's place and look for documents there. So that's the situation with Trump in kind of a breaking news way. We'll get more with David Cay Johnston in just a couple of minutes here. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
I did want to note that Bill Walton passed away while we were off, and he's a legend of basketball. And the other thing about Bill Walton is that he is a legend when it comes to the Grateful Dead, when it comes to sort of a broader perspective on life than you might have if you're just an NBA, a crazed player / fan, even commentator. There Bill Walton is. And he is someone, Bill Walton, who is lauded by those surviving members of the Dead and people connected to the Grateful Dead organization as, quote, the best friend I ever had. They have taken to social media, members of the Grateful Dead, and the spin-off group, which is called Dead and Company. There is Bill Walton. And they are sharing grief and love for the Grateful Dead's biggest celebrity superfan. They posted a series of statements. Here's one of them. Fare you well, we love you more than words can tell. Bill was an irreplaceable force and spirit in our family. Father Time, Rhythm Devil, biggest deadhead ever, over 1,000 shows and couldn't get enough. He loved this band and we loved him. We will miss our beloved friend, Bill Walton, deeply. Rest in peace and may the four winds blow you safely home. The Father Time reference alludes to how the Celtics, the Celtic superstar, dressed up and played the role of Father Time at a New Year's Eve show by Dead and Company. It was in 2015 in L.A. And he took the entire Boston Celtics team to see the Grateful Dead one time. He had limos and and they set up a separate area for the Celtics at this dead. There he is, Father Time. Good job, Tony. Thank you. The drummer for the Grateful Dead and Dead and Company said, Bill was my best friend, the best friend I ever had. He was an amazing person, singular, irreplaceable, giving, loving. His love for our music was beyond description. He called himself the luckiest man in the world, but it was us who were lucky to know him, to share the adventure with him. Bill Walton passes away at 71. He had cancer. And he was a brilliant basketball player. We're talking about he was with UCLA, and then he went to the pros and just crushed it. Then he, as a commentator, he would talk about any number of things not related to the game sometimes, and that is what made him such a brilliant contributor along there. So rest in peace, Bill Walton.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I will have a Law and Disorder for you. I think we also have a That's Rich coming up later, but I wanted to get to this guy right away at an earlier time for those of you who are live viewers. Normally, David kicks off our second hour, but we're really delighted to be able to speak with him whenever he can speak with us. He's the Pulitzer Prize winner, best-selling author. I was thinking about, man, when he wrote The Making of Donald Trump, I wonder if he could have, and I'll ask him, had thought that the arc of Donald Trump's personal and professional existence would include what we're talking about now. How about it for the great David Cay Johnston, everybody?
Hello, Mark.
Hello, sir.
I have a little breaking news for you.
Yes, sir.
Dean Obadiah, a lawyer and SiriusXM host, just posted, and I've reposted, a flag that he says is being flown outside the courthouse where the Trump closing argument's underway. And that flag says, Trump or death.
Wow.
It's at my Twitter and Threads feeds, and it turns out that flag is for sale on the internet for, depending on what size you want to buy, as little as about $45. But I'm pretty much a free speech absolutist. I thank you. The picture just went up for those watching.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. So I would defend the right of the scoundrels who are carrying the flag, but that also means one has a right, and I would argue duty, to denounce such despicable, un-American, anti-democratic behavior in support of someone who's on trial for criminal conduct and has already been found to have committed 10 criminal contempts.
Well, I mean, cult almost doesn't describe the kind of stuff that this has now been up to. I mean, basically that flag describes that sort of fealty that a lot of Americans feel to this guy, to the point that, I mean, they showed up on J6 and, tried to invade the Capitol building, did invade the Capitol building, but I mean, they tried to violently, essentially take down government at the time. But this, I think, I want to ask you basically a follow-up on what you've just said. I mean, is it undemocratic, David, or is this just a First Amendment stuff that we just have to swallow?
Well, I think
or
we
is
have
it
to
both?
swallow it. I mean, I think that one has a right under our Constitution to fly a flag like that. There are limits on all of our rights, every single one of them. For example, your freedom of religion would not allow you to revive the Aztec religion and start sacrificing virgins on an altar by cutting their beating hearts out of their bodies. In the case of speech, if you tell about troop movements during a time of combat, the government can restrain you if possible, the prior restraint, but more importantly, the government can also prosecute you for that. And commercial speech, where you're trying to make money off something, is not protected. One of the people who went to prison because of my reporting that shamed the IRS into finally acting to prosecute a bunch of tax cheats was a fellow who sold books on how to defeat the tax system. And he had a minimum of 51,000 people just in Nevada follow his advice. And what the courts held was, you're free to say the tax system is a fraud and you don't have to pay taxes. No issue. The minute you start selling a kit, here's how to cheat. Here's how to violate and overcome the tax laws. That's a crime. You can go to prison for that, as he did where he died. Irwin Schiff.
Remarkable. Kim, did you have something for David? Oh, I can't hear Kim, but
Kim, you're muted.
I don't even know if this is worth mentioning, but it strikes me on this flag, the date 1776 on one side and 2024 on the other. Are they trying to say that the 2024 is a significant year in American history? Or
yeah.
are they trying to compare, like, make him into a founding father? Like, what? Please explain.
Revolution.
Yeah, exactly.
The argument by the extreme MAGA cultists is that without Trump, there is no America. I mean, Trump says that, basically. And that's the argument that they're trying to make. And, Trump has had a handful of people show up to support his trial. You'll remember he said there'd be a bloodbath. And it's been very minimal. And in fact, if you look at this photo carefully, you'll notice there aren't very many people. It's a couple of folks. And Trump, of course, was booed heavily at the Libertarian Party conference last weekend.
Yeah, that Libertarian blowback was interesting. It's not like speaking at CPAC. I think he was expecting that.
Yes.
And he got considerably more blowback. I mean, the Christian right, as reflected by so much of his support, and certainly these, Supreme Court judges who are, literally flying the flag of Christian nationalism, they don't identify with libertarian ideals, I don't think. Do they, David?
Some, but generally no. And libertarianism is fundamentally the concept that we don't need government. We can all operate from contracts with one another. And there's a very excellent, very short philosophy book called The Myth of Ownership that I reviewed in the New York Times sometime in the late 90s that shows the fundamental philosophical error in libertarianism, which is that we all start off equally. And obviously we don't. So that the whole principle goes out. A lot of the people around Trump, particularly Steve Bannon, they're anarchists. And it's important for us to understand that they're anarchists, and then many of them are anarchist totalitarians. Donald Trump has said many times, you shouldn't be allowed to write or say things about him unless he approves of them. What could be more un-American? I mean, I've described the job of President of the United States in lectures as 4 or 8 years of being criticized for everything you do.
Well, it's really a bit ironic, too, and kind of rich that a guy who trashes, smears, just slaughters people with rhetoric daily. On Memorial Day, I was just reading everybody, his post on Memorial Day it's laughable, but also horrible. I mean, the idea, Happy Memorial Day, and then he just starts smearing Democrats, all the judges. He gets to all of them by name.
Well, one of the things to remember about Memorial Day, many Americans seem confused about it. Memorial Day is to honor those who did not come back. It is not about veterans, even 100% disabled veterans like my father. It is to honor those who died. And what would be happy about that? Why would you say Happy Memorial Day? Well, only if you don't understand what it means. Both Joe Biden and Barack Obama put out statements about them. They are thoughtful, compassionate, properly toned statements. And Donald Trump is, Donald just believes that he's better than all the rest of us. He's special. And if you don't recognize that, well, we'll deport you. We'll round you up. We'll whatever, because he thinks he's special. And clearly there are tens of millions of Americans who share this view, including people who call themselves Christians. Now, let's be clear. Many, many of the people who call themselves Christians espouse beliefs. You can turn on TV, as I've done, and watch them on TV that have nothing to do with the message of the New Testament. Nothing.
And by the way, just as a side note, it's interesting how there's an effort to kind of morph Memorial Day. This is really, it's not related to the price of eggs, but it's sort of, I've seen remember and honor and I always associate honor with people who are living. You know, you're honoring people. You can honor the memory of people, I think, is also the way. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think there's an effort to pivot Memorial Day to honor both veterans and those who've lost their life. But you're right; it's for those who didn't come back, for those who've made the supreme sacrifice.
Yeah, and remember, Donald calls those people losers.
Yeah, and that was confirmed.
Demonstrated repeatedly his disrespect for them, including when he called the widow of Sergeant David Johnston and proceeded to insult her. Because he had no idea how to tell someone, as a president must do, that a member of the armed services has died. And he had no idea how to do that, even though he was guided by his chief of staff, a retired Army general or Marine general. He had no idea how to do it because he has no understanding of things like this.
Well,
so
Kelly,
you asked a question at the beginning of the show, Mark.
Yes, sir. Did you expect it? Right. Could you have anticipated this?
Well, in that book, I anticipated that Trump would never leave the White House peacefully, and said that. I didn't state this because there were no set of facts at the time to use it, but I anticipated and said to family and friends a lot, that Trump is running a high risk here, that he will finally be prosecuted for some of his many, many crimes. Because it used to be he wasn't that big a target, and we spend very little effort in this country, very little, to go after white-collar criminals. Tax being the area I know best. There are only about 500 people a year convicted of tax crimes, federal tax crimes, and most of those are drug dealers, people who paid bribes to politicians, or politicians who took bribes. Just straight out cheating on your taxes, which Donald does blatantly. And I've written about at great length in articles and columns in my books. There's almost no enforcement of the law in that area. It's part of the reason he got away with so many of the things that he did.
And you've made that point so beautifully that, in a way you could skulk around and get away with this stuff. But now that you've, essentially advertised yourself in all these different ways, you're just a much bigger target. You had said that the bad behavior of Donald Trump is something that within this trial framework is going to come back and haunt him. Can you speak to that, please, David?
Sure. Well, the jury today has heard the closing argument of the defense. Trump complained over the weekend that it's not fair the prosecutors go last. Well, that's the way it's been in America for basically forever. And in fact, in every jurisdiction I know of except New York State, the prosecution goes first, the defense goes second, and then the prosecution gets a second bite at the apple. In New York, it's defense, prosecution. So if anything, it favors him. The defense has, I believe, finished its argument. They were wrapping up the last time I looked at the live feeds. If the prosecution can complete its argument today, the jury will get charged today, but I would guess it'll be tomorrow, and they will get instructions from the judge and begin deliberating. Where this is going to haunt Trump is two areas. The nature of the argument made by Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, this morning, in some cases, as I read his words, favored the prosecution. And he confused things in a way and brought up things that you want the jury to have forgotten about. And clearly he was operating on Donald's instructions, because the proper closing argument would be very short and simple. Ladies and gentlemen, they failed to prove their case. They put on a convicted liar named Michael Cohen. They put on a money-grubbing porn actress who lied about what happened. And yes, checks were written, and that's not a crime, and sat down. I mean, not literally that brief, but as lean as that. But of course, Donald instructed his lawyers to do as they did on cross-examination of Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen on what to do. So they followed his directives. The judge now will role in this will become very important when it comes time, if Trump is convicted, as I anticipate, to sentence Trump, because his recalcitrant behavior and his attacks on the judge, which were completely allowed, he couldn't attack the judge's family or court staff or witnesses, and 10 times he violated those rules. The judge at sentencing has a lot of discretion. I mean, he can give him, if he's convicted, informal probation, which is a nothing, or he can give him the longest sentence the law allows behind bars. And this is where I think that will come home to roost. His penalty, whatever it is, will be worse. And I would cite to you the example of a couple of tax cheats I wrote about in Sacramento. When they got to court and the judge gave them a pretty light sentence, they proceeded to denounce the judge and do the same thing Trump is doing. The judge just put them in prison each for, I think the husband got more than 10 years and the wife got about 8, when they would have gotten the most minimal sort of sentence.
It's remarkable, the cranked up anger machine that Trump has really traded in successfully. It doesn't work in this context quite as well, and from a legal standpoint, right, David? I mean, in other words, you can play it to the cameras, but it doesn't work in court the same way.
Right. And it only is going to work with those people who share your anger. Now, one of the things we need to have a serious debate about after we get past Trump, and that we've been having to some degree, and I've been an instigator of for 20, almost 30 years now, is how the 90% have been left behind by our government rule book. I mean, the distribution of income in this country that creates over 500 people a year whose annual salary is over $100 million, that creates billionaires and quarter trillionaires. Partly that results from innovation and business luck or success, but a great deal of it is government rules. And that's the reason companies spend so much money in Washington, is if you can write the rule book, you can suppress wages, you can reduce opportunities for people to seek a redress for their grievances. And so a large segment of the U.S. population is legitimately upset about their economic circumstances. And while both parties bear some responsibility, it's over the responsibility on the side of the Republicans is they push these things and continue to push them. On the Democrats, it's they didn't have the spine to stand up. And even when, it might have cost you getting reelected, done the right thing.
I want to pick up on that because when you talk about the big money that is driving our Supreme Court now, that is driving, it's driving our political system for many years. As you say, you've been writing about it for many years and it's been driving. But it's interesting with this insanely flawed candidate. I mean, that's kind in a description of Donald Trump. I mean, he is fatally flawed in so many ways, not the least of which is that he wants to dismantle the government and essentially be an autocrat.
Yeah.
He has support, and this is a coming event on June 6th in San Francisco, from these tech bros, David Sachs, who was one of the founders of PayPal, Chamath, who is one of the handful of people involved in Facebook at the very beginning. And this will be an event at David Sachs's Pacific Heights mansion. And this was, by the way, just as an aside, this is the kind of money we're talking about. It was, at the time of its sale in 2012, the most expensive house on the market in San Francisco. So that's where this fundraiser is going to be. Donors are going to need to spend at least $50,000 to enter the fundraiser, but they are looking for $500,000 per couple. And throwing in on this, other tech bros like Elon Musk, et cetera. But in Sachs and Chamath, you have these cutting-edge tech bros involved in all of this transformational technology. And I'm wondering, David, they're most concerned with taxes. Is that the reason they would sign on to someone like Trump? Why is he getting that kind of support?
Well, taxes first and foremost, without doubt. At a social event here in Rochester, I was seated next to a young man, and I asked him why his parents, the family is black, were Trumpers. And he said, "Oh, taxes. It's entirely taxes." And I said, "Well, he's a stone cold racist." And the son said, "Yeah, well, as my mom says, they're all racists," meaning white people. And so I can see the logic in that. I think it's short-sighted, but I can see that. The appeal of Donald Trump is this mistaken belief that he will make things better, and they were better. And I extensively, as you know, documented Trump's economic performance before the pandemic, job creation, wages, et cetera. And we initially gave him a grade of C, and then when new data came in, we lowered it to C minus. On the other hand, Biden's economic performance is just off the chart. Even after if you want to not count the jobs destroyed by the pandemic, Trump still underperforms Biden in job creation, in real wage growth, among the bottom 50%. People make less than basically $40,000 a year. And that's per household. So often that's two people providing income. And a whole host of other factors. And part of the proof of that is record amounts of money are going into people's retirement accounts. And we just had record air travel for this 3-day weekend. This is not a society, as Trump keeps claiming, and 60% of Americans believe, that's in a depression. So a lot of this, I think, is people hoping or wishing for something. And I also think it's not unreasonable to wonder how much of this is racist. Lots of people who hold deeply racist views are really largely unaware of them. When I was sent to stay with my father came from New Orleans with his family in the summer of 1963. The thing I was most shocked by was the willful blindness to acts of racism I saw every single day. They just go, there's no racism. What are you talking about? And that's what I see in a lot of Trump supporters and in their public comments. They're just blind. And this is troubling because business needs reliable government rules. It needs to have predictable regulations and tax. And businesses will adapt. If you raise the tax rate or lower the tax rate, businesses will adapt to it. You don't run your business on the taxes. You run your business to make money, and then you worry about the taxes.
Well, the tax collection, and you detail this as well, the part of the IRS, and I think you've just referenced it even in this conversation, the arm of the IRS involved in trying to catch white-collar criminals or pursuing them. I mean, some of the stuff is glaring. I mean, one of your books details a lot of the ways in which at high end, with real estate, you can play all kinds of games with the tax code. And but it has to be enforced, and that enforcement is something that clearly the right is very much dedicated to dismantling completely, and they do it by taking away funding, I guess.
Right, and it is we have thorough law enforcement for wage earners and pensioners.
Right.
You basically can't cheat. You could overstate your property taxes, but most people can't deduct. Only about 8% of people now itemize their tax returns. So the government gets the money out of your paycheck before you get it. And there's essentially no way to cheat, certainly not in any economically significant way, unless you have unreported under the table income. And that's another issue. But if you're a business owner like Trump, especially an international business owner, I mean, Trump fabricated more than 6 non-existent businesses in the tax returns released by the House Democrats. 6. He did the same thing back in the 80s. He probably did it every year in between, and yet nothing happened. So America has 2 income tax systems, separate and unequal. One is for workers, including, well-paid workers like you and me. And the other is for business owners, especially those in real estate or who operate internationally. They're on an honor system. Unless you get audited, whatever you put down, the government accepts. And we hardly audit anybody. Among people making over $10 million a year, that's 55,000 households, Mark. The latest IRS data shows that only 80 people were audited and told you owe more money. 80 people out of 55,000. By the way, we're getting very close to having 1 million households with $1 million income. We're at about almost 900,000 for 2022. So when we get the data for this year, 25, we'll probably hit 1 million households with $1 million or more income.
And I remember you wrote a column for DC Report, I want to say, about this, not only the schism, not only this chasm between the haves and have-nots, but how real wages haven't really grown through the
until
years.
very recently. They've been growing now under the Biden administration. A lot of that is due not to the Biden administration, by the way. It's due to local and state minimum wage laws. When San Jose adopted its minimum wage law that was, I think it was $20 an hour, but it was significantly higher than the federal minimum of $7.25 or the minimum for tipped wait staff, waiters, bartenders, busboys. That's $2.13 an hour. And when you adjust for inflation, because it was a 1993 rule, they now get less than $1 an hour. And the rest has to be made up by tips. So the first additional $6.25 that you get in tips just goes to meet the minimum wage law. And the fundamental underlying problem here is that we have not worked enough to deal with the incomes of people at the bottom. You can find all over the internet the example people give of a McDonald's worker in America and in Denmark. In Denmark, you make $22 an hour, which is probably what our minimum wage should be based on productivity. You get 6 weeks paid vacation, you get health care, you get other benefits, and the Big Mac on a comparative basis costs less than it does in America. How do they do that? Well, because they're not being so greedy at the top. Companies have billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to buy back their own stock, but they want to shortchange workers and, in the case of Boeing, safety.
Now, so piercingly true. I have two quickies, David, before I let you go. One is about Eileen Cannon, the Trump judge in Florida who has just now rejected this appeal from Jack Smith's office for the gag order. It was just denied a few hours ago. Can you speak to that? I mean, that's just more of the fix.
Well, Judge Cannon from day one has been biased in favor of Trump. I mean, she declared in her very first order that he deserves special treatment, which violates her oath of office. In this case, she denied without prejudice, which means it can be brought back, the request to bar Trump from saying things which put in danger law enforcement officers, FBI agents, and other law enforcement officers. She didn't do it on the merits. She did it by saying you didn't negotiate sufficiently with Trump's lawyers to shape the order you want me to sign. So they're going to go, this is a delay tactic again. So they'll go back, they'll negotiate with the Trump team, they'll go back to Judge Cannon. But any federal judge who will not issue an order to protect the lives of law enforcement when there is reason to think there is a need for that. Every judge overseeing Trump criminal, the other three criminal cases, and several of the civil cases has police protection. They're met at home by detectives, they're put in a police car, they're driven to their courthouse, and they're picked up at the end of the day. And the same is true in some cases of their spouses and children. This is a real legitimate threat that's been well documented.
The second thing I wanted to ask you about is just a quick thought on the continuing revelations around Supreme Court Justice Alito and his, the most recent flag flown at the beach house. I mean, this guy's got more flags and flagpoles, and each one is more disturbing than the last.
Well, Judge Alito has an interesting view of the world. I can't control what my wife runs up the flagpole, but I can control every woman's body in America. The hypocrisy and illogic is just overwhelming here.
God, that's a brilliant way to put it.
Well, I wish I had thought it up, but I didn't. I poached it.
Okay.
We have a real serious problem here with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court depends on trust and public support. It doesn't have an army. It doesn't have police to enforce its orders. And what Alito is doing is bringing disrespect on the court and doing so gratuitously. That's, I think, the most offensive part is gratuitously. And, it's now come out that two things. The Washington Post knew about the upside down flag in 2021 and deemed it not to be a story, which I'm just dumbfounded by. I'd love to know the internal story of what happened at the Post with that, because it's inexplicable.
Right.
And then secondly, this at the same time that the judge is saying my wife did that. Donald is saying, well, the Judge Merchan's daughter works for the Democrats, therefore he's illegitimate. You're not responsible for your grown children. 5 of my 8 children are in their 50s. I have some control over what they do. That's absurd. Once you're an adult and if the daughter was living in the judge's house, I might say that's something different if they ran a business together. But once your children grow up and go away, they're adults and they're not under your control. And the Supreme Court has obviously very different standards for you and for the justices. Oh, wait a minute. Where did they get that idea? I think Donald Trump.
I mean, it's astounding. And sadly, there's just so much power that's resting in that court.
Before we go, I got one little thing I want to draw people's attention to.
Please.
The story on the front page of the New York Times today, it was online on Friday, about Richard Greenfeld, who was Trump's ambassador to Germany, where he operated in a totally undiplomatic way and promoted right-wing autocrats. I mean, you don't do that as an ambassador. And how he, according to people who were in the room, said it right at the beginning that the whole, they stole the election, at least for the state of Nevada, was a sham. And they knew it was a sham. It was simply directed at confusing the public by creating a situation journalists had to cover. And I strongly encourage people to read that article. If you're not a Times reader, you can get 10 free articles a month if you just register.
Wow.
If somebody is a reader and has friends, you can gift 10 articles a month to other people. Just gift it. It's a very long story, but it is one of the most damning and most brilliantly reported stories I've read in some time.
Wow.
And this
Terrific.
guy, by the way, expects that he will be either National Security Advisor or Secretary of State if Trump gets back to the White House. He goes around saying, well, if you don't do what we want, I'm going to stop having the State Department deal with this. We'll just bomb you. That's the kind of remarks this guy makes. And he thinks he's a diplomat. So
the entire administration, I suspect, will be populated by those with, again, a loyalty that transcends any kind of constitutional obligation. David, you can find David everywhere now. I mean, he's, as I've said before, the most popular kid at the dance. We appreciate your time today. David Cay Johnston, the Pulitzer Prize winner. Thank you, my friend.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, David. See you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, more on that that piece to which David referred as we continue in the days ahead. I do want to check in with Kim to see what we're doing. Kim, what are we doing?
Well,
Kim is
we
sort of,
have Jefferson Graham, who I just saw pop into the waiting room.
All
And,
right.
he is joining us from the road, so I don't want to keep him waiting necessarily. And
Well,
then
I
I'm
don't mind
happy to
keeping him
do-
waiting, but I will under protest. I kind of like keeping him waiting, actually. I think it builds
I know.
anticipation. Oftentimes he provides a better performance when he's been waiting. But you know what? We can go to him. Smash the like button like a boss, though, if you would. For
with your iron rod.
do it for David Cay Johnston. Do it for all right, for Jefferson Graham.
Smash
Go
it
ahead.
with your
Give it a
iron
smash. This guy used to be the let me just
The Mark Thompson Show.
this guy was the USA Today tech writer for years. Finally flipped him the bird. Hit the road with his own scene. He's got a Substack. He's got a YouTube channel. He travels. He shares. He's never been more popular since he put the man, the USA Today people, in the rear view, baby. He's our tech guru, Jefferson Graham, everybody. Where are you, Jeff? You're somewhere we can't hear you. This was a great idea. I can tell already. Cannot hear you.
Jeff, you're muted.
Maybe take the mute off. Jesus, man. That guy is a tech guy, and he has the mute on? I don't know.
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it
Hear
for.
me now.
Oh,
Yeah, I hear
we
you.
can.
I hear you. Good. He said, hey, I'll come from the
Okay.
road. It'll be no problem. Okay.
That's
So
right.
far, it's all problem.
All
right.
Why are you
Okay,
yelling?
here I am.
All right,
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
lost the internet signal a minute ago too. So it's
I
one
see.
after the
Great.
next. But
This
it's
is
good
fun.
To see you.
Terrific.
I'm in Midway, Utah.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
You ever been to Midway,
Wow.
Utah? Yeah. it's pretty
No,
out
what's
there,
over
right?
there?
Seriously, what the
What is that?
I'm on a golf course. I don't play golf, but I'm on a golf course. And I tried plugging in my mics, but it didn't work. So what are you gonna
All
do?
right, that's what you sound great. Well, What are you doing? This is for Photo Walks TV?
Yeah, doing a new episode of the Heber Valley.
No.
And then I'm off to Cody, Wyoming tomorrow.
Wow. Look at you. You really travel a lot.
But the good news for you and all
Mm-hmm.
the viewers is that I'll be home soon and I'm not going anywhere.
That really is good news.
Yeah, I'll be editing like a madman.
Can you tell me how you had a big content dump. That's beautiful country, obviously. How is your stuff doing? I mean, you
doing
had
okay,
a big
doing okay.
Yeah.
I think that was my Sicily video was my favorite video. So
yeah, that's it. Sicily video over there at Photo Walks TV. Yeah. Now, I do want to ask you about some stuff related to the AI world.
Yes.
Yeah, the way AI world is now being populated by the big kids. Google is taking a shot at it. It's not going well, though.
It's not going well. I think there's an opening for a really good search engine because I think Google is blowing it big time. And they had it all to themselves for 20 years, 25 years. And now they're just messing up because they want to compete with ChatGPT and bring AI into search. Don't need it. Don't need it. I want accurate results is what I want. Accurate results. There have been a bunch of bad stuff in there that was not true. And I read one piece today that said, who's going to be the benefactor of this? News organizations. We're going to be turning back to the news organizations for the authoritative.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Right?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, for those who don't know, essentially they have merged, as you said, the AI capacities with the existing search capacities. But you're saying in so doing, the AI is getting in the way of pure information.
Yes, and every time you type in a query into Google now, the first result is AI, and you don't know, is it true? Is it not true? Where's it coming from? What's the source? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't ask those questions. They just assume it's true.
Well, and a lot of hate speech and a lot of all the worst stuff is the stuff that's bubbling to the surface now with these AI searches. It's weird.
We should start a new search engine.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating, the law of unintended consequences, that another search engine could rise. And as you say, that journalism may enjoy a minute because at least people feel as though there might be stuff that's vetted there in the world of journalism.
Actually edited, yeah.
Yeah, actually edited, actually looked at by someone. And now tell me about YouTube. This is our home platform is YouTube.
Yes,
and
there's a golf cart coming by. Here we go. Traffic on the golf course.
And
YouTube.
YouTube.
They do not like you using ad blockers. And so they've played a new game now. If you're using an ad blocker, they'll just make the video go to the end and not let you see the beginning. And they want their money because, we got to feel bad for them. They're only generating billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars a month.
Wow.
I will say the best $12 I ever spent was my monthly subscription to YouTube ad-free, which comes with YouTube Music. And I love it, and I don't have to suffer through the ads. I get a lot of complaints, by the way, from viewers who say, we love your videos, but we hate the ads. And I can't do anything about it,
Sure. No, I mean, and we need the ads to help support the show. But in the case of, just to let people know, those of you who spend the money, as do Jeff and myself, to not get the ads on YouTube, you get spun off from that automatically a little bit to many of the shows that you watch on YouTube. So in other words, as a creator, Jeff will get something from me when I watch this video, even though I'm not watching any ads. Why? Because I'm subscribing to the ad-free service. Isn't that the way it works, Jeff?
Yeah, and you get YouTube Music on top of it. So if you subscribe to Apple Music, Spotify, they're all the same. They all have the same songs, but you get this added to the mix. So I think it's a nice 1-2 punch. I also think YouTube has a better music selection than Spotify and Apple Music because they have all those live concerts and TV dates and things that aren't on the other services.
Very cool. Well, Jeff, good luck with your continued journey. When you're back in another week, is that what you said?
Longer.
Wow.
Sorry.
Pretty great.
I know.
That's the
it's
key to a good marriage, though. Am I right, people? Get on the road for a few weeks. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
The missus will be joining me in Bozeman, Montana next Tuesday.
Oh, all right. Well, Bozeman is a romantic spot, so
They
you
call
kids
it
enjoy it.
Bose Angeles now because it's so popular with LA people.
Yeah, no, the wintertime there is just brutal, but summer I'm sure is great, and you do need some bug spray, because they do get the bugs up there. All right, Jeff, appreciate you taking time out. Good to see you. JeffersonGraham.substack.com, PhotoWalks TV on YouTube. Bye-bye. Nice stuff.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm struck by how much we've gotten done already.
It's been quite the show.
Well, once you have David Cay Johnston on, you're just off to the races. If you're new to us, this is not this cadaverous pallor that I have. Maybe I am this white. I don't think so, though. Maybe I'm kind of whitish, though. Yeah, I don't know. We're working to try to get that to a more reasonable, healthy color. I mean, I really do look like
You need to go hang out with Jefferson Graham on the golf course.
I guess. I don't know. Or just get some effing lighting in here that doesn't, make me look like a cadaver. Anyway, the point is, if you're new, I like to complain about the lighting from time to time, and that's what I do.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
I'm a complainer. Kim's News, and then we have Law and Disorder. And Law and Disorder is populated by a couple of huge settlements, legal settlements. And then I've got a That's Rich, and that's populated by a yacht. Yes, yacht news. I always like, and Elon Musk news. That's in That's Rich. So Law and Disorder, That's Rich, still to come. Also, your comments, we'll get into some of the comments that have been set aside. I'd be happy to respond to anything that you are thinking about. So smash the like button if you would. Give us a thumbs up.
With your iron rod.
Yeah, that helps get me some color in my face when I see those thumbs go up. So Kim's News, and we continue. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by Coachella Valley Coffee. Closing arguments underway in former President Trump's criminal hush money trial in New York. Prosecutors are summing up their case after Trump's defense team completed theirs this morning. Deliberations expected to start as soon as tomorrow, with the jury trying to decide if Trump falsified business records to cover up an alleged hush money payment or payments that he made to Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. It is unclear how long the jury will deliberate in Donald Trump's hush money case. The New York judge will give the panel instructions after the prosecution wraps up their closing arguments. Again, Trump could face up to 4 years in prison, if found guilty. Trump, the first former president to stand trial in a criminal case. A group of Capitol police officers on the front lines during the U.S. Capitol riot will campaign for President Biden. They will make stops to meet with elected officials and community leaders in key battleground states, including Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The Biden campaign says the goal is to raise the alarm about the threat that Donald Trump poses to democracy. Alcatraz ferry workers are trying to get the word out about their demand for better pay. Nearly 100 ferry workers went on a 4-hour strike over the weekend, trying to push Alcatraz City Cruises to come to the bargaining table. The strike comes as tourist season is starting to heat up in San Francisco, with tourist officials saying Alcatraz Island attracts more than 1 million tourists to San Francisco every year. So over a holiday weekend to have them on strike, that's kind of a big deal. In Southern California, beachgoers in San Clemente were forced to leave the water this Memorial Day due to a shark encounter. City officials closed off all San Clemente beaches Monday after a shark knocked a surfer off their board. Beaches were closed for the rest of the day due to what they called aggressive shark behavior. No injuries in the original incident were reported. That shark, though, left a pretty sizable dent in the surfboard, so everybody out of the water.
That'll get your attention. Yeah, you're not kidding.
Completely get your attention. Are you kidding me? You only have to tell me once. Shark sighting, I'm out. I mean, no thank you. Oh, this horrible case in Hollywood or Hollywood adjacent. There's a makeup artist recovering from getting stabbed multiple times, allegedly by her estranged.
Oh, lost our Kim for a second, huh? That's the way it is with this crazy internet, huh?
Can you hear me?
Now I get you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Her name is Ali Shehorn. She specializes in special effects makeup, and she's worked on several feature films, including Rebel Moon, Mean Girls, and Babylon. Police believe Shehorn's ex-boyfriend violated a restraining order, broke into her home in Shadow Hills, and then stabbed her repeatedly, leaving her for dead. He was arrested in Texas. She was slashed across the neck, arms, and abdomen, and is recovering in the hospital. Her friends say she's in good spirits, but quite the attack in the story there out of Hollywood.
Jeez.
Southern California's majestic oak trees in danger of being wiped out by the tiny beetle. The gold-spotted oak borer has been discovered eating away at oak trees in Los Angeles and Orange counties.
Man, there are a lot of those beetles. There are a lot of bad beetles. Who knew?
Who knew they could cause such trouble? This pest was originally discovered in San Diego County in 2008, and when more than 80,000 trees were destroyed there. Officials admit there's no way to eradicate this beetle, but they can slow them down. They're all hymns, see, because they're bad guys.
Because they're destructive.
That's right.
I don't blame you.
There are about 600,000 coast live oaks in the Santa Monica Mountains, hundreds of thousands more in the foothills and canyons of Orange County.
Hundreds of thousands of those smack-talking, probably inebriated...
gold-spotted oak borers? Yes.
Yes. Beetles of destruction.
Well, you got to keep your eye on those bad boys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A small business owner in San Francisco is dealing with loss after having thousands of dollars in merchandise stolen from her. Ben Wang telling KGO-TV, someone broke into his office and storage facility for Dare Fashion earlier this month and made off with $300,000 worth of merchandise. Crazy. Wang's company makes specialized costumes and other inclusive fashion items. Says this is the 5th time the business has been broken into in the last 3 years. Wang says his insurance policy only covers liability. He's hoping friends and neighbors can help him rebuild the business now.
No.
There's a big fire, a massive fire at an Oakland lumber yard. The owner of Economy Lumber says the 4-alarm fire that broke out Sunday did several $1 million worth of damage. More than 100 firefighters are called out to battle this one. No major injuries reported. The owner says he does plan to rebuild that facility. That was quite the fire, I'll tell you. In business news, Elon Musk has raised another $6 billion in funding for his artificial intelligence company.
He wants to get into the AI game.
Yeah, the company is called, of course, XAI, putting its valuation now at $24 billion. New money came in from Silicon Valley venture capitalists and a Saudi prince, too. Because, Saudi pays cash.
Saudi Arabia
pays cash.
Exactly.
Musk promises more announcements in the coming weeks, so there you go.
Wow.
That's pure speculation.
All right.
Apple is reportedly delivering a lot more iPhones to China. According to Bloomberg, the surge in shipments indicates a rebound for Apple in its second largest market. The iPhone sales have shown 2 straight months of increases in China after moving in the opposite direction in a prolonged period. Coinbase getting an upgrade from Bank of America. Analysts are moving into the crypto exchange's stock from underperform now to neutral, citing more stability in the crypto market after the approval of EFTs. B of A is setting a price target, $217.
Wow.
We're in better shape, but I don't think we're in wildly better shape.
You're in better shape, though. I mean, that is Coinbase is sort of like the Charles Schwab of trading, or they seem so solid. I'm not saying it's an endorsement. They don't do the coins. They are just the platform on which you can trade for the coins.
Mm-hmm.
So
a family went to the hospital after their black bear meat kebabs gave them parasitic worms. Don't eat the bear meat. A new CDC report says that in the summer of 2022, a family gathered for a reunion in South Dakota. One of them brought some black bear meat procured in Canada. The meat had been frozen for 45 days before it was thawed and grilled. That apparently freezing it is supposed to get rid of the parasites. But that didn't happen. The CDC recommends cooking bear meat to at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit to kill any parasites. Many wildlife experts consider all bear meat to be infected. They say the thorough cooking is vital, but most of the family had to go to the hospital because of this parasite thing that happened there. Gross.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Speaking of cooking things up, this in Fullerton, California, police say they're looking for a chef who stabbed another chef right in the neck. The knife attack happened Monday night at the Flaming Buffet in Fullerton. Police say the two chefs got into some kind of argument, which led to one chef stabbing the other chef and then making a run for it.
Picnic, no summer camp.
Yeah, I guess not. It's a throwdown. It's a knife fight.
It's brutal in the kitchen, man. The victim was rushed to the hospital and is expected to survive, but police continue to search for the attacking chef.
Wow.
They take things very seriously at the Flaming Buffet in Fullerton.
Jada had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, my God.
That used to be a Chinese buffet a couple years ago.
Oh, is that right?
I know where that is.
That's the Flaming Buffet now. You better duck because there's knives flying around that place.
Maybe the fight was over at going back to be a Chinese.
I need to go there for lunch.
Wonton killing. I don't know what a wonton killing is. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, it's close to a wonton killing. Good one. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of food and cooking, several restaurants are offering deals for National Hamburger Day today. Did you know it was Burger Day?
Oh, I did not.
It is. The unofficial holiday, it's being called, happening at the same time as Burger King's 70th birthday. The chain is offering free items through their app all week, including a free burger with a purchase of at least 70 cents today because it's their 70th birthday. I don't know how you spend 70 cents at Burger King.
Yeah, okay.
Ridiculous. Wendy's is selling junior bacon cheeseburgers for 1 cent with any purchase today through Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah, it's there's a lot going on with the whole burger thing. So
well, it's good luck to all of you with the burgers.
We'll end this.
I mean, there are veggie burgers, though. You can still have a burger without being a meat burger. Yeah,
right. You can. You can have that.
Just saying, if those of you who are veggie heads who watch this show or participate or listen, you can still participate in Burger Day. You just can't have the meat. That's all.
Yeah, you can't have that. That's okay.
Exactly. Right.
Did you hear about the story?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Right, exactly.
You hear about the story with Richard Dreyfuss?
I just tell me again. He kind of loses it on a. It was a screening for his movie Jaws, and then he kind of goes into something. Go ahead. What happened?
He kind of goes off the deep end. There's a Massachusetts theater now apologizing over the behavior of actor Richard Dreyfuss at a special screening of Jaws over the weekend. Dreyfuss reportedly ranted about women in film, the Me Too movement, the transgender kids, prompting some in the audience at the Cabot Theater just to get up and walk out. Like he went on this wild rant. After the event, the Cabot issues a statement of regret over Dreyfuss's comments, saying his views do not reflect their beliefs. So.
Yeah, it was...
My bad. I'm sorry. Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
I mean, that's funny. Jim Shields says, perhaps he needs a bigger boat. The problem is people just can't, what's weird to me about Richard Dreyfuss, just for 30 seconds, is he was beloved You know, he did movies like The Goodbye Girl, the Neil Simon with Marsha Mason.
Wasn't
he was in Jaws.
Mr. Holland's Opus.
Mr. Holland's Opus,
That
thank
was
you.
such a good movie. And like he was so likable in that movie. And it turns out he's a total wacko.
He's something. As Tom says, he might just be a little nutty. Dreyfus is kind of a nutcase, is what Tom says.
Sounds like a misogynistic Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, he could be that too. But anyway. Anyway.
Okay. We'll end it with
He
this
was
one.
in Gidget, says Chris. Good Richard Dreyfuss knowledge. He was on Gidget in 1965.
Oh.
About Bob, yeah. And by the way, in About Bob, he got into a huge fight with Bill Murray, I think. It was a really... but more to the point, he was beloved, and now he's just, off the curb. He's stepped off the curb.
Al Ruddy, the Oscar-winning producer of The Godfather, has died.
Oh, no.
Ruddy co-created TV's Hogan's Heroes and won Oscars for both The Godfather and $1 Million Baby. He died over the weekend at UCLA Ronald Reagan Medical Center in Los Angeles after a brief illness. He was recently portrayed by actor Miles Teller in the miniseries The Offer.
Yes.
Al Ruddy was 94 years old.
Let me tell you, that's a good series. For those who like stuff about Hollywood, it's on Paramount Plus, I believe. But by now, maybe you can get it elsewhere. It's called The Offer, and it's about the making of The Godfather and a bunch of stuff that I didn't know about The Godfather. And this guy, Al Ruddy, this Oscar-winning producer, you begin to see how he's pulling the whole thing together. I mean, it's his vision in large measure. We think about Francis Ford Coppola. You need a guy in the studio to help make the thing happen, and he was that guy.
This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hand roasted, fresh, a little bit of heaven in your cup.
Oh,
got a little
my
sip
God,
there.
so good.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, hang on a
I got a
second.
little sip. I got some sip. Mhm.
Oh, do you have a sip too?
Yeah. Oh, that's harp music warranted. Yeah, that's some good iced tea.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I have a, oh my God,
Only
Tony.
for the coffee? Is that okay? Well,
Gotta,
there you go. Yeah. Okay. Tell me a little bit about what you're drinking there today.
I went with the stovetop espresso again. It seems to be really rocking for me, so I did. Might change it up a bit tomorrow. My $1 espresso machine is being serviced, so I'm doing the stovetop espresso, which is really good.
This is hard. Your espresso machine's on the blink. You've got no credibility glasses.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know how
wearing
you're even
these
making
glasses.
your way through today.
Thank
I
you.
don't know.
Thank you, Kim, for appreciating that. And Kim, I wish you would say more things like that to remind the audience of how steep a climb it is for me every day on this show.
Do you know who I am?
Exactly.
I'm kind of a big deal.
I am. There's no Sherpa to guide me up the climb that I'm making every day on this show. I do it by myself, and I carry Kim and Tony every day. I carry them.
Why are you yelling?
I am fueled by Coachella Valley Coffee. Thank you.
Well, just for being a Mark Thompson Show listener, you get the exclusive 10% off at checkout. The code is MARK-T, no spaces, MARK-T, and boom, 10% comes flying off your total. It's CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Excellent coffees, excellent loose leaf teas, and they have the organic tea bags there you can buy and fill them up with whatever type of tea that you select from the website, CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Mark Thompson Show.
Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
I offer this sincere apology to you today. No context will suffice to explain the hurt and anguish caused by my words.
calling me a liar. Is that what you're calling me?
You are a cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Joe Fish, Sal the Shoemaker, Joe Box, and Little Anthony.
I don't think you should apologize for how you feel.
Morning.
What's a guilty pleasure you have?
Can you let him finish, sir?
Why are you yelling?
It's fantastic.
Seriously, what the Did you really just do that?
What up, everybody? Thank you for joining us. It is our Tuesday show. Already a visit with Pulitzer Prize winner David Cay Johnston, and I'll get into some law and disorder in a second. I do want to mention that we are live streaming on Facebook. I mean, I don't think anybody's really watching, too many people on Facebook, but we have this little sort of...
Yeah, people have seen it, and we get a lot of comments after the fact.
We have a fledgling, YouTube channel. And those for you who, fledgling Facebook channel, or I don't know if it's a channel or a post or what is that? Page, thank you.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are part of that fledgling Facebook page, welcome. You can reach the show because I saw a comment. That's what really is prompting this. How do I send you a Facebook? Here, let me just put my non-credibility glasses on. How do I send you a Facebook post? Something that needs to be covered by the news.
You can email it to themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com is probably the best way.
The Mark Thompson Show @gmail.com. Okay. And send us whatever you want. Send us comments on the show. Send us suggestions or whatever.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah, Mark really loves the suggestions. He really loves that.
Start with something nice, and then you can get into what you don't like. Also, I wanted to, or how to contact Kim McAllister, they're asking. Same thing. I'll forward on anything at that address if Kim doesn't see it, to make sure Kim gets the message. Comes to me, and then I send it out to whoever is required to see it. Yeah. Fledgling is a ding word, says Tom. I think that's true, actually. Fledgling is a ding word. Anything else in there that I need to attend to on the... here you go. Scott, and Scott's a great supporter of the show. A big shout out to Scott Rittenberg.
Big shout out.
KGO ran ads for 5 minutes every 10 minutes, so YouTube is way better than that. It is true. You know, we come from a radio station called KGO. It's a very big talk radio station, for those who didn't know. And one of the things about radio is that they carpet bomb the air with these ads. And, you know, cars for kids and everything else. You guys know all the ads. And so kind of what Scott's saying is no matter, you know, how many ads they drop on YouTube, it's not nearly what it was when we were at KGO.
Sure.
So thank you for the $10 super chat, and appreciate that. Luis says, smart move not to have the credibility glasses mailed. Would have ended up in the vortex next to Joe Box's show banner. Yes, Joe Box's show banner.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
Joe Box's show banner apparently never made it to him.
No.
We all autographed it. We packaged it well, but it supposedly never made it. Luis is absolutely right. And big shout out, Luis. Thank you for
Big shout out.
I'll see Luis at the June Swoon meetup, which will be next week, right? Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to it. We'll file a full report as to what happens in June Swoon. That's our summer kickoff meetup. Wes with a super sticker. What up, Wes?
Big shout out.
Wes Theory is a great supporter of our show, and I so appreciate him. And Vicky and Sausalito, big shout out.
Big shout out.
To Vicky and Sausalito. Hi, Mark. This is for an air tag for your glasses. That's such a good
thinking,
idea.
Vicky. Nice.
There is something called the tile, I think. It's smaller than an AirTag, and you can put it on stuff like glasses.
Can you?
I think, yes. You can check, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Google it.
And maybe...
I think it might be too big.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I mean, both AirTags certainly clearly too big. Mama de Three Boys says, I think if Mark darkens his eyebrows a bit, it would mitigate the paleness. Just a suggestion. No, I love that.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I think I might want to try that. Yeah. All right, Mama. I've got to get whatever you darken your eyebrows with. You could put it into the glasses case, says Vicky. Very, very good. All right, look, I could read your comments all afternoon, but I already have read them all afternoon. It is time to move on. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Let's do it. It's a regular feature on this show. This is Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care.
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
It happened on Saturday morning, early, in the overnight hours, you might consider it. Actor Johnny Wechter, best known for his role in the long-running soap opera General Hospital, fatally shot as he saw three individuals stealing the catalytic converter from his car in downtown L.A., and he approached them at 3:25 in the morning. He was working that late as a bartender. You know, a lot of actors do have other jobs that way. There were three guys there. They have not been arrested or identified. This actor from South Carolina starred in numerous TV shows: Army Wives, Westworld, Siberia, Criminal Minds. He appeared in close to 200 episodes of General Hospital. And he approached these guys as they were stealing his car, and he said, are you towing me? I believe that was the...
You thought his car was getting towed, yeah.
Yeah. And they turned, and they shot and killed him.
They turned, and apparently one of them he saw was wearing a face mask, and that's when he realized he wasn't getting towed. He was getting, robbed, basically. So
sad. 37 years old, and his life is over because of that lawless act. I mean, you go from stealing a catalytic converter to murdering someone in cold blood. It's a brutal, brutal reality. That's in downtown Los Angeles. The top assassin for the Sinaloa drug cartel is extradited to the U.S. to face charges. The Justice Department is saying that this top assassin will face drug, gun, and witness retaliation charges.
he doesn't really look like what I would think an assassin looks like. I mean, he's kind of like a regular guy.
Well, I don't know where this picture, it might have come from his Regular Guy album, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't a booking photo, and it's not a perp walk photo.
Sure.
It looks like just kind of one of those candid pictures.
Yeah.
But you're right, it masks the reality, which is that he has a dark heart, Kim.
I mean,
Kim kind of faded out for a second. Nestor Isidro Perez Salas, also known as El Nini, is a leader and commander of a group that provided security for the sons of imprisoned drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Also helped in their drug business, according to federal investigators. The sons lead a faction known as the Little Chapos. Chapitos is what they call them in Spanish. And he's been identified as one of the main exporters of the deadly synthetic opioid fentanyl. Fentanyl's blamed for about 70,000 overdose deaths a year in the United States. And they are saying that this Sinaloa cartel lead sicario, or assassin, was responsible for the murder, torture, and kidnapping of rivals and witnesses who threatened the cartel's criminal drug trafficking enterprise. The woman dragged by the Cruise robo-taxi gets over $8 million in settlement.
What?
Cruise is paying out between $8 and $12 million. This is the woman who was dragged, as Kim says, 20 feet by one of those autonomous vehicles in San Francisco. It happened last fall. The California Department of Motor Vehicles officials there saying that Cruise didn't show regulators complete footage of that incident where a robo-taxi dragged a woman after she was hit by a human driver.
The car didn't know what to do, and then they allegedly withheld information from the DMV.
Exactly, and it was
8
that
to
withholding.
12 million. That seems like, don't you think that's pretty fair?
I don't know how much damage was done to her.
She's pretty
so
injured.
It's hard for me to say.
She survived, but she's pretty messed up.
I mean, if she's pretty messed up and she lives with pain every day, I don't know if it is enough. I mean, I really don't know. Literally, I don't know. I do think that, I and many others live with some kind of daily pain or situation, and it can, I don't want to say ruin your life, but I'll say in some cases it hasn't ruined my life, but I'm just saying it affects your life. And if the damage from a car accident is great enough, it could ruin your life. Sure, you survive, but now you survive to tackle chronic pain every day. I don't mean to be too heavy, but I'm just saying, so, it seems like a lot of money, but I don't know what she's dealing with every day.
Right.
I'm sure she'd, put another way, rather not have the money and not be dragged by this autonomous vehicle. A protester gets $1.5 million in a settlement. This is an injury during a protest. That's why I called the person a protester. And what happened was they had hard foam projectiles they were firing into the crowd. This is LAPD. It was a street demonstration in 2020, and they fired one of these hard foam projectiles, and it hit him in his, I don't want to say the word. Can you say
Testicle.
it, Kim?
Testicle.
Thank you. The payout is the largest, no need to luxuriate in the word, just a simple reference would be fine.
It hit the fellow in the scrotum.
Thank you. It was during the George Floyd protest summer, spurred massive demonstrations. You remember the George Floyd incident, murder by the Minneapolis cops. But remember, I mean, all these payouts that law enforcement agencies are getting, and this is happening nationwide. These lawsuits, those monies come out of taxpayer coffers.
Josh
Don't
says
forget.
That's nuts.
I get it.
What?
Okay. Because you're now going to deal with a bunch of these suits with the pro-Palestinian protesters being cleared from college campuses, from various public spaces. So in this case, the city did not admit any liability as part of this settlement. But they found that the officer who shot this guy, while acting within policy, the police commission said the shooting was unjustified. So
did the man lose a testicle in this incident?
Well, it's actually, he was in a crosswalk holding a large sign for the LAPD to be defunded. Remember those days? Those are fun days.
Yeah.
And the video shows the officer grabbing a friend of the protester and causing her to drop her end of the sign and move out of view. And then another officer rushed in as he was backing away, and that officer ripped the sign from his hand, and then he put his hands up in the air, according to what we see in the video.
Yeah.
And as the protester, Montemayor is his name, started to move forward again, another officer stepped forward and shot him with a 40-millimeter projectile from several feet away. So it was not,
Tony just had a headline up that said that the testicle exploded. So apparently it's a goner.
Well, it swelled immediately, and to the size of a grapefruit, they said.
Oh,
Rushed to
my.
emergency surgery, and that's where it exploded. Yeah. I mean, again, awfully traumatic. Great to have the $1 million, but it was 1.5. Of course, you give a bunch of that to the lawyer, et cetera.
I'm sure he'd
But,
rather have his testicle back.
Thank you. Exactly. And
I don't know.
And
I'm just trying to say testicle as many times as I can to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me that way.
Yeah. Where is the? We used to have a drop about don't ever use that word.
Tom says, explode and testicle are two words you never want to hear together.
That is so true. Very good call. Very good call. Hang on a second.
All right. This better be worth it.
Well, I need to find it.
Oh, now it's a mission. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that I just found. Hold on. Oh, I did it. It's hold on a second. Talk among yourselves. This is very important to me.
Well, since you're uncomfortable with testicle, I could throw in a few vaginas as well.
Okay, all right. You know what? I can see we cannot have nice things as a family. All right, I can't. I'll find it later.
For you.
I'll find it later. I'm so sorry, guys. We'll cut this part out of the rebroadcast. Out of the.
Nope, I'm leaving it in.
No, the law and disorder. No, when you drop this segment, law and disorder, this stuff gets cut out.
It's all staying.
And finally, in settlements, the Southern California School District is going to pay $360,000 to settle a lawsuit from a former teacher who was fired last year. This teacher refused to adhere to policies regarding transgender or gender nonconforming students because of her Christian beliefs. She played that Christian card, and now she's getting quite the judgment.
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
Jessica Tapio, she taught physical education. She claimed in her wrongful termination lawsuit that her free speech and religious rights had been violated. She had refused, hypothetically in statements to district personnel, to use students' preferred pronouns to allow them to use the locker room matching their gender identity, or to withhold information from parents about their child's gender identity. This is all according to the federal lawsuit. The school district, did not admit any wrongdoing, but did agree to pay $285,000 as well as $75,000 for her attorney fees.
That's crazy.
What a settlement. Wow.
So because she's Christian, she doesn't have to follow the school policies?
That's a question I would ask. Quote, her religious beliefs were not accommodated when they could have been, said the legal counsel for the Advocates for Faith and Freedom. That's a nonprofit religious liberties groups. We think, this is the quote continuing, it sends a strong message that there's a price to pay when you ask a teacher to lie and withhold information. This is a compromise that they've reached, and the spokesperson for the district was saying this decision to settle this case was made in the best interest of the students,
I don't think
such
so.
that the district can continue to dedicate all of its resources and efforts to educate, support its student population regardless of their protected class. There are a bunch of lawsuits, by the way, on down the pipeline on the rights of transgender students, their parents, their teachers. So stay tuned for more.
So in the name of religion, it's okay for her to discriminate against other people in order for her not to be discriminated against?
That is the essential argument that follows all of that religious freedom stuff when it comes to providing a service of any kind, right? When you talk about, inscribing a cake or, these wedding cakes, the photography for the wedding, all of these things, these are services that would then be provided, but they are not being provided because the service would be to support something that they don't approve of, that they don't condone, and they feel that shouldn't be legal, shouldn't be allowed oftentimes.
Well, in the case of the cake maker, the baker, that's a private business, right? I mean, why would I, if I'm a same-sex couple, why do I want to give money to a business that doesn't want to serve me anyway? In this case, this is a public school teacher. She has to serve everyone, and she has to be aware of it and understand it when she goes into this career. You're going to have people that you might not like, or that things that you have to do that maybe go against your ultra orthodox religion, and still you have to handle the public. So I don't know. I don't agree with that payout.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, of course. I think that it makes sense. I mean, there are two things going on here. There's the payout and then there's the policy. Mm-hmm. So let me just address the payout first. I think that they need to settle this stuff because otherwise it can cost the schools district, which is already strapped for money, even more. So they're ready to pay close to $400,000 to make this thing go away. Now, as to the policy, so the idea is that because this is a public institution, you have to be sensitive to people's religious beliefs. I think it is a pretzel logic that they've done with the law to suggest, as you have, I think, stated clearly, that somehow her rights are being violated when her rights are counter to that which is school policy. So I kind of am with you, which is, hey, this just in. If this gets in the way of your religious rights or religious beliefs, however you see it, maybe you shouldn't be working here. Go to a place that does respect your religious freedom in some way that matters to you further. Don't recall anything in the Bible that commends discriminating against people who aren't like you. There's lots of stuff about tolerance and being welcome to the outcasts. However, that's from Mama to Three Boys. Yes, thank you for that. That comment. Look, I'll just state it bluntly. The Bible should have nothing to do with anything. The Bible, there was nothing in the Bible about this. There was everything in the Bible about that. I mean, I'm not ready to take pro or con from the Bible. I mean, it's insanity to me. The best thing about America was the separation of church and state, the separation of public policy from the Bible or the Quran or the Talmud or whatever holy book people are referring to. Sorry, it has no place in American society, a secular society based on right and wrong, which we can distinguish without being pointed to some holy book and some legend. That's a society I want to live in. We know right and wrong. Plus, the Bible is so old and out of date. That's from Gordon Andrews. That's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
With apologies to the Bible thumpers. I mean, again, I know you like nothing against the Bible. Go Bible. Read the Bible. Organize groups about the Bible, discussion groups about the Bible. But it seems to me like a lot of Bible thumpers grab the parts of the Bible they like, and they leave out the parts of the Bible they don't like. Sure. So, which is fine also, but just don't quote the Bible on public policy and don't shape public policy around the Bible. That's all I would say.
When they raided Mar-a-Lago, God didn't like that.
Exactly. Right. You get what you want. So that's that. Thank you for your service and attention. Now, Kim.
Yes.
I wanted to recognize, and I did recognize Deb Allen earlier. Mm-hmm. She has just stepped up her Patreon contribution. There was another that I wanted to get to.
Well, you look for that. I'll tell you that Scott Rittenberg is back with another $5 today. He says, "Are you demonetized now? Here's a $5 for that dirty girl saying 2 bad words together."
Yes, thank you, Scott.
Big shout out.
I'm probably
Am I the dirty girl? Oh,
I think describing the testicular issues probably has already gotten us blown out. But yeah, I did get. Thank you, Scott. Scott is sensitive to the tenuous relationship we have with monetization and demonetization. Mark, on Friday's show, you started to mention something that someone had sent for. You never finished due to the whole debacle with, Bill Mann. You also said that there would be a great drop from a video you were going to play. Oh, yeah. And then this is from Trevor Starr in Hollywood, who's joining us for June Swoon, which will be in a little less than a week. He did grab drops that I wanted. And there was one drop that was going to play. You only heard a little bit of it. It was the first bite, Tony, in that Eyewitness News piece from New York with the Trump rally. I meant to tell you about it before we started, but that was back on Friday, I think. But anyway, he sent these. We'll get it for you, though, and you'll realize why I wanted it. Trevor in Hollywood did send us these.
Do you know what we're here for?
This is from the hearing with AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And,
do you know what we're here for?
Yeah.
Oh, is this the baby girl don't play?
Yeah. Well, so do you know what we're here for? Is a good drop.
Do you know what we're here for?
And let me find the other.
I don't want to.
No, that's not. That's you.
Mm-hmm.
I have Kim stuff.
What a jerk.
Yeah, that's you.
I stand by that.
Do you know what I'm here for? I have. Where is the other stuff?
Where's the baby girl don't play?
I thought I had it. Oh, here it is. Oh, there you go. And one more. Hold on. Here's baby girl don't play.
Oh, girl, baby girl, don't even play.
That's strong.
That's pretty good. Yep.
That's strong. Yeah.
Thank you, Trevor. Excellent.
And then he also sent this.
Don't allow the worst president in the history of our country to come back and do the final destruction of America.
Well,
is he referring to himself?
Well, that's what Trevor is saying. Trevor's saying, this is Trump talking about himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what we're here for?
Yeah. I really like, do you know what we're here for? And of course, who can't like the girl, baby girl? I mean, that's just another.
Oh, girl, baby girl, don't even play.
Yeah. It's a little long for a drop. I'm just wondering how I can turn it into.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Do I make it that?
No, I think you have to take it in its entirety. It's
or
beautiful.
Is it?
Don't even play.
No.
It's
started
Tony,
that girl.
You know that it's three.
Started
it's
that
over.
Girl.
Started that girl.
Girl,
what?
don't even play.
Yeah, right. I agree. It's
don't even play, girl.
There it is. So you start there. You cinch this up. Here we go.
You're missing
now
baby girl.
Girl, don't even play.
Yeah. What if you go baby girl?
Oh,
yeah,
girl,
baby
girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baby girl, don't even play.
Yeah, there you go. Great. Tony saved the universe with Kim. Nice job. Thank you, Trevor in Hollywood, for providing those. Got a good dose. Excellent. And there was something else in the mail. So glad you found your glasses. These are not my glasses. My glasses we left at the car dealership. Anyway. All right. Thank you.
Your glasses are somewhere on that. What freeway is that? The 405? The 110?
I hope that they're coming back. Yeah. She wasn't excited about going. I don't blame her. But I would have gone. I'm not as, you throw on something you want to listen to and, you just make the trip.
Sure. You're what? 2 Mark Thompson Show podcasts away from your glasses.
Well, this is an email I hadn't seen about the glasses from Teresa. She's a regular listener of the show. She says, unfortunately, people find and keep lost glasses. This is before I found them. Still offering for you to come see me in Dana Point, Monarch Beach, Southern California. 20% off.
Oh.
Come on.
What?
I think I might do it.
If you had to replace the $8,000 glasses, that might be an economical alternative.
Already, I need to get a backup pair because these don't do it.
Right.
And I'm worried about the expenditure. Glasses are just, what a racket. It's that Luxottica, which is effectively a monopoly. But thank you, Teresa. I may go there just to. She sends a really funny. I'm going to forward this to you, Tony, and then we'll sign off. Sorry, everybody. We've kind of descended into just a free-form thing, but thank you for being here. I want you to know that tomorrow I'll be getting my regular glasses back, and that
Thanks, Courtney.
This show will ascend to another level. So I make that promise to you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now, Kim, what's our situation? Tell me how much time I have. Tell me what I can do.
You really have, I would say, 7 minutes tops.
Okay.
I think you can squeeze in a That's Rich.
I can, but I want to give you something a little bit more of the moment.
Okay.
When it comes to religion, since I kind of was tough on religion.
Sure.
I wasn't tough on religion. I don't want it to help make laws and inform huge legal settlements, based on religious stuff. But the Pope is back in the news, everybody. Yeah. Gotta love the Pope. Sadly, he is back in the news because he is apologizing.
My bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right. He's apologizing for use of a homophobic slur.
What?
Mm-hmm. Pope Francis apologizing. This is just this morning. He used a homophobic slur while reiterating his opposition to gay people becoming priests. It was a private conversation, which is where you can use your homophobic slurs, Mr. Pope. It was on the matter of gays in the church and gay people becoming priests. There is already too much, and he uses the F word in Italian. And, homophobic slurs probably sound better in Italian. I don't know. I mean, I don't speak Italian, but anyway.
This is behind closed doors, right?
It is.
He has enemies.
It's behind big gay doors. The remark, said to have been made during a closed-door meeting, was first reportedly released to Italian news and then affirmed by Italian newspapers. And there were first-hand sources, as Kim has noted. The Pope, El Papa, there's somebody in there who don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't like you using the F word and slurs against gay brothers and sisters. I guess it would only be brothers since they don't let sisters be priests.
Now, I'm not saying it's good to use the word or the term, but behind the closed door meeting, you've gone against the Pope now? Mm.
What was the comment? I just saw a comment flash.
Karen said, and he's supposed to be the example for Catholics.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as though in the church, there's some kind of hypocrisy once in a while. It's just amazing to me.
What?
Yes.
You don't say. Oh.
Yeah. Gosh. The remark was received with incredulous laughter by the bishops in attendance, apparently. Mm. And, of course, the Pope is 87 years old. Perhaps they're saying his native language being Spanish, and he was making the remarks in Italian, he was not aware of how offensive the word is in Italian. No. He misspoke.
I misspoke.
Right, exactly. It seems as though it was just a short time ago he was Times Person of the Year. He was the new lib pope, remember? A new era of acceptance and inclusion, they note here, of LGBTQ people by the Catholic Church. He gave his approval for priests to bless same-sex couples. And he said he saw, quote, hypocrisy in those who criticized the decision to preside over same-sex marriages. But then when it came to commenting on gay people joining the priesthood, Francis has continued to back the Vatican official policy. That was the policy approved by Pope Benedict, his predecessor. That policy is, quote, the Church, while profoundly respecting the persons in question, cannot admit to the seminary or to holy orders those who practice homosexuality, present deep-seated homosexual tendencies, or support the so-called gay culture. So he is presiding over a church that's at odds with itself, isn't it, Kim?
Well, don't you? I mean, the problem here to me is that he's looking at the wrong problem. It's not the whether a priest has a tendency or a like for women or men or being straight or gay. It's that they have a tendency for children, which I would argue doesn't really have anything to do with being gay or straight. So maybe he ought to focus on that before he worries about, who someone's attracted to as an adult.
I don't know what do you mean by a tendency to children? You mean an attraction to children?
Yeah. I mean, that's the real problem.
Oh, you're talking about the predatory nature of the priesthood as it exists
what
with
I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, then just say it. I mean, my God, say it.
Baby girl, don't even play.
Exactly. Just don't even play. Just say it.
Is he trying to connect being gay with that? Because that doesn't fly with me.
Of course, yeah. Well, there's no reference to that, but I mean, I think it's just a generally disparaging comment about being gay. Yeah. But I mean, why can't you let the gay priests in and then let them cover it up so it doesn't offend you? I mean, maybe you know something about covering stuff up in the Catholic Church. I'm just saying,
baby girl, don't even play.
What I'm saying is that the church has been covering a lot of stuff up for a long time.
Got bigger problems than gay people is what he has.
Yes, it's disheartening in the extreme. Mm-hmm. But to be fair, he did apologize. He didn't go full Tubin, which would have been, it's tough. The Pope is supposed to be closer to God and all that stuff. I mean, in pure Catholic interpretation, from what I understand. But it really needed it needed probably full Tubin.
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Could have been, but he went with, sorry, which is an easier way to kind of do. So.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to hang out and figure out drops to.
Do you know what we're here for?
But I know what we're here for.
Do you know what we're here for?
Yeah, I do. I don't know. I do want to say this.
Baby girl, don't even play.
I do want to say that tomorrow, John Rothman joins us, and we have quite the show. What else do we have tomorrow? Belinda, don't we? Belinda Weymouth with the It's the Planet Stupid. I also have some great guests ahead, Kim. I don't know. I have to get with you on following up on all of them, but we have a bunch in the pipeline, and both journalists and celebrities, and I'm kind of looking forward to these authors that we have coming in as well. So there's much ahead for the summer. We are live this summer with shows every day. So we'll have those for you no matter what the circumstance. The After Party Live continues on the After Party Live channel, and there's the...
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
That's from Teresa Wilson, that video of the
cat
with the glasses. We love you, Teresa, and everyone. Thank you. Till tomorrow. Bye-bye.